like the pine trees lining the winding road. I've got a dream.
I was lucky. I knew as time was going on that I needed to have things in place to make sure that my family was taken care of in the event something were to happen to me. But the truth is, I guess I was scared of it. It's hard facing your own mortality.
Rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by.
So I went my entire life up until now without a real will, without any end-of-life documents. And then I determined, wow, it's time. You need to take matters into your own hands to make sure you can continue to take care of your family when you're gone, but also having things in place in case something would happen that I'm not able to make decisions for myself. And that's what today's video is about. We're talking about end-of-life documents and the things that we should have in place as 50-somethings, as Gen Xers who have lived longer than the years we have left for most of us. So, hang out. Let's have a little reality check. Take an inventory of where you are at this stage in life and ask yourself that question. Have I done things to protect myself and my family if something were to happen? I think the first thing most of us think of when we think of end of life, what happens to my stuff after I'm gone. And we immediately think of the final will and testament of state your name. It's kind of scary. We see it in the movies all the time. We've seen it in the movies all the time. People reading the final will and testament to surviving family members, and we kind of think it's not going to happen to us. So, but the reality is, it will, and we need to have that in place. You don't want to have your stuff in the hands of someone that's not your family, and that would be going to the state in which you live that would make the decisions about the things that you've acquired throughout your life. That's why we need to have the final will and testament. So, what does that give us? It tells whomever the powers that be, this is what I want done with my possession. Who gets what? If you have kids, if your kids are, under the age of 18, mine are all grown up and adults, so this was not something that was part of my will. But who's going to take care of them in the event something happens to you? And then we also have to think about, okay, who's going to be the executor of that will? Who's going to be the spokesperson for that will, right? To make sure that things are executed within that will as you lay them out. And you have to put thought into it. It might not just be your spouse. There may be someone else that you need to appoint, and that's another consideration for the will, is who's going to be that person. And the one important note is that will is only effective after your death. So what are the documents that we need to think about while we're still alive? So there are things we should also have in place while we are still alive and while we still have breath in our bodies, but we may not have the capacity to speak for ourselves. Think of a medically induced coma, or maybe not even medically induced, but something due to an illness or an accident, you are incapacitated and unable to make decisions for yourself. So there's a couple of documents we need to talk about that address that. First, it's the medical power of attorney. Right? That is you giving voice to what actions can be taken for you in the event of a medical emergency, or you're not able to speak for yourself. So you have to pick the person that knows and fully understands what it is that you want. And that actually ties very closely with the next important document, which is your living will. Right? It's in the name. It's a living will. What do you want done while you're still alive? And that could be something like being kept alive by artificial means, right? Through respirators or things like that. If it is your final wishes to be kept alive as long as possible, in the event there may be a recovery, then you need to state that in your living will. But if you are not in a condition to make that decision for yourself, and you, in my case, I made the decision I don't want to be kept alive by machines, right? Multiple reasons for that, because for me, that's not life, that's just being alive. And I'm not interested in that, right? The whole point of the 5-0 Tango is to get as many good, productive years as we can out of our lives. That living will is part of my tango. I want productive living years, not just being alive, kept alive by medical devices. So if there's no chance for recovery, and the best course of action is to let my body go naturally or recover naturally, that's what I want for myself. So that living will gives you the power now, while you're still of sound mind, right? You're still cogent and lucid. You can say, hey, let me give this thought. What do I want to do if something were to happen to me? And that decision needs to be made. That's your living will. That also dovetails nicely. I don't know what that was. That dovetails nicely with another document that is not really talked about very often, and to be honest, until I started looking at what I needed to do for my end-of-life planning, is the medical records release form. Right? It's important because of HIPAA laws, right? Which, great. I'm glad they're there to protect my private medical information. But if you don't have that medical release records document in place, medical records release document in place, you could prohibit your loved one, or whomever it is you declare as your medical power of attorney, even if they have that medical power of attorney, from gaining access to medical information, or to make sure that that medical information is shared among doctors that may need that for to optimize your care. So these three documents kind of work together, right? Your living will, your medical power of attorney, and your medical records release form, all very important. So you can take control and have autonomy, right? The ability to make decisions for yourself, even if something happens and you're incapacitated and not able to make those decisions. We also need to talk about durable power of attorney. That is, what do you want done with your bills in the event you become incapacitated, and it's kind of a stressful one, right? Naming that person, and it's got to be someone you absolutely wholly trust, that is you are going to give access to your personal financial life to make sure your mortgage gets paid, your health insurance gets paid, your car insurance gets paid, whatever bills you have, all of that gets taken care of. They gain access to, if you have invested, they gain access to your investment accounts. This person needs to be someone you wholly trust. The 5-0 Tango is about putting on that armor for these last few decades, hopefully, of our lives. By making no excuses and seeing the things that you want to see, travel and eating good food, getting your preventive medical care done, like a colonoscopy. Obviously, weight training, strength training, and yoga, and all of these things that we're doing so we can have a longer, healthier, productive life. That's the tango. That's the whole reason for this channel. But there's also another piece, and that's the getting over the fear that you're middle-aged. I've got the gray hair to prove it. And there are things that we have a responsibility to do to make sure that we continue to have control, that you have your physical armor on, and your legal armor on, and your financial armor on, so you can have everything in place, that when it comes time to transition and our lives come to an end, that you put the things in place to one last time protect everything that matters to you, your family, the things you've accumulated throughout your life, and what you want done at the end of your life. That's just one piece of the tango. Have you done it? Are you like me? You're a little scared of it? I'm not afraid to admit it. I was scared of it. And then I realized I just had to rip that Band-Aid off and get it done because it was just too important. Tell me in the comments below, what were you waiting for? Or what you want done with your routines? Let's talk about it in the comments below. 5-0 Tango. Come back.
Pass me by.